that shows Europe. And you can see that Slovakia is right in the center. So it's very often called the heart of Europe. Some other countries also claim this because they're close. But geographically, Slovakia holds that title. So it was a part of the Hungarian Empire, and then in 1918, after World War I, Czechoslovakia was created from that former Austro-Hungarian Empire. And then it severed its ties with the Soviet Union after it had been under Soviet Union control since World War II. It split in 1989 with the Velvet Revolution. And then on January 1st, 1993, the Czech Republic, which now calls itself Czechia as a common name, and Slovakia split into two independent nations peacefully. So it was a very good thing. The peoples are a little bit different. The people of Moravia are a part of the Czech Republic. So if you know people who say they're Moravian, they're a part of the Czech Republic. They don't have their own country. Slovakia has 5.5 million people. That's less than the whole greater Chicago area, but more than the city of Chicago. It has very similar topography and economy to Pennsylvania because they're coal mining and manufacturing regions in their early days especially. And Slovakia now boasts that it builds more car per capita than any nation in the world. And I just read yesterday that 351,000 Kias were produced in Slovakia in 2024. And that's just one of the companies there. The climate is very much like ours, so if you go there at this time of year, you're likely to find snow and cold. If you go in the summer, you'll find warm weather, but not quite as warm as ours because there's that mountain effect. And it is a parliamentary democratic republic with a unicameral legislature. The president now is Peter Pellegrini. He's a Slovak with an Italian name, and the prime minister is Robert Fico, and he's a little bit of a controversial figure if you follow him at all. Thank you, Dennis. Okay, so who are our neighbors? Poland to the north, the Czech Republic or Czechia to the east, Hungary to the south, Austria to the southwest, and Ukraine to the east. We have about an 80-mile border with Ukraine, and many Ukrainians are being housed in Slovakia. Not long after the war started, I was notarizing some documents for a person who needed them for use in Slovakia, and I recognized her village name, which I knew was very close to Ukraine, and so I asked her, is your family involved in this? And she said, my brother has a one-bedroom apartment and he's housing 12 Ukrainians with him at this time. So that was early in the war. So, where and what is Slovakia? Did you switch?
Yeah.
Okay. My Slovak heritage. Okay, so this is going back to my family name, which is Macko. Americans call it Macko, M-A-C-K-O. In Slovak, that C becomes a TS. If it doesn't have a mark on it, if it has a mark on it, then it's a ch. So it's Macko, and it means cute little teddy bear. So one of my hometown villages where my Macko family comes from actually has a bear in its coat of arms. So that's really interesting. Pennsylvania coal mines were a very big part of the migration chain in the late 1880s to 1920s and 30s. And people came from mines to mines or from manufacturing to manufacturing, mostly mines. And then that's my home church, Slovak Catholic Church in Pennsylvania, a little town called Consul, which is about 60 miles southeast of Pittsburgh. And that was the home I first grew up in. That was my childhood home, and then my parents built one next door, and lots of Slovaks in our neighborhood. And then I went to a Byzantine Catholic Girls Academy in Uniontown, Pennsylvania, which in Slovakia, in the northeast section, there are many people of Byzantine or Carpatho-Russian heritage. So they also don't have their own country, but many of them are situated in Slovakia, Ukraine, and southern Poland, and part of Romania. Illinois has the fourth largest Slovak and Slovak American population of all the states, Pennsylvania being first. In 2018, when I was in Slovakia last for an Honorary Consul's conference, we took the opportunity to go to one of my home villages to seek my father's family, the Macko side, because we didn't have a lot of information. My dad's dad died in the flu pandemic in 1918. My grandmother never really talked about him. So we went there. I hired a genealogist whom I've known for years, and he took me to the village. I already had a lot of information, but he helped me find that where you see that grassy area is where the house of my great-grandfather stood. And then in the village, all places, my paternal second cousin was an employee. So Dennis says we look like him, that's for sure. Anyway, those are my three ancestral villages, and you can really, if you want, take a nice walk among all three. Okay, so Naperville, Nitra. Goes back, this is where the history part comes in, it's not in this presentation. In 1992, the International Committee of the YMCA, which doesn't exist anymore, recommended to then Mayor Sam McCrane that Naperville engage in a sister city search in an emerging democracy in Central or Eastern Europe. And I had been working with the Slovak Cultural Society, Slovak American Cultural Society, and Mayor McCrane asked me to sit on the task force. So I did. I was with former Mayor Chet Rybicki, whose wife was Czech, on that committee, and a couple other people. And then we narrowed it down to 3 countries: Poland, Hungary, and then Czechoslovakia. This was before Slovakia was an independent nation, so this was 1992. And every one of these subcommittees prepared information, sought information from the candidate city, and Nitra sent a 10-minute video of sites around their city set to Slovak music. It was a cooperation between the mayor's office and the students and faculty at the Economic University, which is also called the Agro University. It's all the sciences, including agriculture. And in the end, when it came to we held a public forum, which was open, and then the following week, we voted on the 3 cities, and Nitra emerged as the candidate. There are many similarities between our cities. We each have multiple universities. We have a river and riverwalk. We both coincidentally start with N. There's an arboretum, Lignani, right outside of Nitra. We have agricultural beginnings. We have a vibrant downtown. We have hospitals. We have places for music presentations, a real interest in sports, a real interest in families and social activities, and the list was on. We developed a list of 31 criteria by which to measure the 3 candidate cities. So it was a very, very concerted effort. There were no mistakes made in choosing the final candidate, and so I'm very proud of that, and being of Slovak heritage, that makes me even more proud.
It was a kolacha.
Pardon me?
The kolacha.
At the open forum, we serve food. So that always works. What I'd like to do is read this to you, if you don't mind. Okay, I'll hold it far away. This is the presentation I made before City Council on May 4th, 1993. This was after the vote was taken. Mayor McCrane and City Council members, in behalf of the Sister Cities Commission, I am pleased to present a recommendation to you this evening. After many meetings and months of research culminated by a Saturday workshop last month, during which 3 candidate cities were considered, the Sister Cities Commission is recommending that you ratify the city of Nitra, Slovakia as our new sister city, and that all necessary measures be taken to complete the formalities which ratify the mutual selection of Naperville and Nitra as sister cities. The Sister Cities Commission was empowered, I'm going to lean on here because I just had knee surgery. The Sister Cities Commission was empowered to seek a sister city with a similar population as Naperville, which would be a good fit educationally, culturally, and socially. The city of Nitra, like Naperville, is situated on a river, also called the Nitra. Like Naperville, has several colleges and agri-complex for trade shows, a large sports complex and outdoor museums similar to Naper Settlement, and an arboretum just out city limit similar to the Wharton Arboretum. Situated on 7 hills, Nitra boasts a century-old castles and is the ancient capital of Slovakia. It's where many of the Austro-Hungarian queens and kings had their coronations. Nitra is just a short drive from Slovakia's capital city, Bratislava, located on the Danube River, just slightly longer than the distance from Chicago to Naperville. It is also less than 90 miles from Vienna, Austria, making international travel an easy experience. Attractions include the city itself, a nearby world-class spa, and the Tatra Mountains for winter sports and summer enjoyment. Slovakia is geographically the very center of Europe. To demonstrate its interest in becoming our sister city, the city of Nitra prepared a 10-minute video in cooperation, with the mayor's office, professors, and students in the city's agricultural college. Set to music, the video is available through the mayor's office for you to view if desired. It's a VHS, and anybody can do that. Mayor Stefankov also sent us his letter of intent along with books, brochures, and maps of the city. We've had personal contact with Mayor Stefankov through the Slovak American Cultural Society of the Midwest, which is headquartered here in Naperville, and which cooperated in assisting the Sister Cities Commission in this endeavor. A trio of members of the Slovak American Cultural Society of the Midwest had the pleasure to meet Slovakia's president, Michal Kovač, on his first official visit to the U.S. in Washington, D.C. last month. The president and his colleagues expressed their pleasure at the possibility of this sister city relationship. We have been assured full cooperation from the city of Nitra and from the Slovak embassy, as well as cooperation through personal contacts with business colleagues and relatives in the Nitra area. Letters of support for this effort have also been provided by Slovak organizations and businesses and NGOs and agencies in Naperville. We had over 30 letters of support, which we delivered to Nitra. So letters of support from Illinois Benedictine College and Benedictine University. The Slovak National Ministry of Culture is from Slovak business persons. John Gudets, Chairman Emeritus of Silver Press in Naperville, a first-generation American Slovak, has offered to sponsor air travel and a week's accommodations for 2 official delegates from the Naperville Sister Cities Commission to Slovakia to promote this cooperative sister city effort. It is the Sister Cities Commission's hope that government, business, industry, education, service organizations, athletic groups, community groups, cultural groups, and individuals in the Naperville area will embrace the sister city concept become actively involved in a wide variety of exchanges which will enhance the quality of life for both the citizens of Naperville, Illinois, USA, and the citizens of Nitra, Slovakia. To this end, we ask for your formal ratification and support. Thank you respectfully. So this was what was presented and approved by all 7 votes, at that time, the 7-member council of the Naperville City Council. So I thought that was important to present that original document to you. You can see that there have been various attempts, I would say, to promote this within the city of Naperville, and unfortunately, there's dwindling support right now. And I hope to revive that, and I hope that this meeting will be a big part of that, and so folks at the city will take notice and extend an invitation to our partners in Nitra to come here for an official visit. And yes, and right in front of City Hall is a sign called Nitra Parkway, and in Nitra there's a city street sign called, well, they call it Napervilleska ulica, which means Naperville Street. It was an old communist street name changed. So there you go. These are some of the delegates who were here in 1994. Our very first ambassador, Branislav Iklardus, came from Washington, D.C. because as a new country in 1993, we now needed to have an embassy and ambassador and everything else that goes with that, and postage stamps, currency, the whole thing. And Ambassador Iklardus came here, and we had a very large delegation come from Slovakia to join us to celebrate the sister cities relationship. And Sam McCrane was still mayor at that time. And this is a picture from 1996 when a few of us went there, and it shows then Deputy City Council, or City Administrator, Ray Bynum from the YMCA, Mayor Pradle, and Russ Wolf, an officer from the Naperville Police Department. We've had a number of wonderful exchanges take place. We've had our police from Naperville, 2 of them, Russ Wolf and Steve Hochstetler, both now retired, who went to Nitra to teach about community policing. Because before, in communism, before 1989, there was only the state police, and they were to be feared. There were no municipal police departments. And so when municipal police departments were created, they now had a whole new wave of business that could be conducted, and the community policing being a very important part of it. So Russ and Steve went there more than once to teach about community policing, and it was a very successful endeavor. I met the Igor Zeman, who was the first police chief, and he was wearing this really smart uniform, and I said, wow, that's nice. And he said, then he took me to meet the state police chairman, and he's wearing one of these little communist style things you see in the movies, and an outfit. And I said afterwards, what's the difference? He said, those are the same outfits they were wearing in communism. Anyway, then in 1998, a 21-member delegation from Naperville was invited, to celebrate Nitra's 750th anniversary as a royal chartered city. And so we went there with representatives from the city, from Naperville, from the Chamber of Commerce, from North Central College, from Benedictine University, from the YMCA. I mean, just almost every most important organization in the city of Naperville was represented during that visit. And it was a wonderful experience. Dennis is a pilot. So we know the people who own the Nitra airport is privately owned. And so they had an old Russian AN-2 machine there, airplane there, and they invited Dennis, of course he had a co-pilot, he was probably a co-pilot, to fly the delegation around and see the city of Nitra. So Dennis piloted this, and we had 19 of the 21 of us on that airplane. Okay, you can see Mike Scarr, former Chamber CEO, boarding the plane, just looks a little worried, a little concerned. And then the 10th anniversary in 2003, you can see lots of very important people on there, some of whom you'll know, Mayor Pradle, Mayor Stefanka, and the picture of me on the up center left is with Evie Shum, and she worked on the YMCA International Committee and was the person who made the proposal to Mayor McCrane in behalf of the International Committee to choose a new sister city. So those are some, now here we are. This is in 2018, 2015, one of the two. We were in Slovakia, and when I go for honorary consuls meetings, which there haven't been any since 2018 because of the pandemic, but usually they're every 3 years, and So we went there and we asked for all the mayors to meet with us this is 2018, so this was our 25th anniversary. And 3 of the former mayors of Nitra were there for lunch with us. So there was a meeting earlier in the day with many more people. And some key players in the Naperville and Nitra Sister Cities Commission, including, let's see, there's Dennis, and then to Dennis's left is, you can see there's a woman there. She's the wife of a very famous artist, Carl Felix, who's between Dennis and me. And then there's the next man is a pediatric cardiologist. And he spent 2 weeks in Naperville on an exchange with Edward Hospital, where he attended and not participated, but attended and watched pediatric surgeries, cardiac surgeries. So, anyhow, let's move on, Dennis, please. Okay, so here again are some of the similarities. There was a Peace Corps volunteer from Puerto Rico, I think, who was in Slovakia, and he taught the kids in Nitra how to play baseball. Of course, they didn't have any other idea, but they came to Naperville on an exchange, and the Naperville Little League accommodated them and housed them and did everything they could for them to have a wonderful time. And they mixed the groups because the kids from there didn't really have the experience that the kids from here do. Ileana Stefanko, who's a Brazilian national, was a member and chairman of the Sister Cities Commission here, and she led several delegations to Nitra and to the capital city, Bratislava, to teach about abuse, because during communism, whatever happened in the home stayed in the home. There was no body of law to protect families. And so she has been there, I would say, more than several times to lecture on this matter, and today she's on a flight to Brazil, so she couldn't be here. The Lutheran Church Miracle in 1996, there's a church in Naperville, Our Savior's Lutheran, has been very, very involved in Slovakia, and Mayor Prio frequently traveled with that group for their mission work in Martin, Slovakia, which is north of Nitra. And an unfortunate consequence of his visits there is that every time he came, which was often, they viewed it as an official delegation because he was the mayor. We have not had an official delegation to Nitra since 1998. It's time we change that. Anyway, the Lutherans decided to visit the Lutheran church while they were visiting Nitra, and they saw that it had big cracks in the walls and that it had been condemned, but they were still using it. So they came back home, and in 6 weeks' time, they raised $600,000, and another Lutheran church in Minnesota raised some money. And 2 years later, there was a brand new Lutheran church dedicated on that site in Nitra, and we were happy to be there for that occasion. It was just an amazing story. And right now, they have a senior living center being constructed next to their church. So just imagine the outreach that let's stop in and see the Lutheran church result. Such a big thing. Okay, we purchased an ambulance because in Nitra, the hospital is a series of buildings. So if you need an x-ray, you go from wherever you are here to get the x-ray, and then you have to come back. So it was a logistical nightmare. So we purchased a small ambulance and supported that. And the Rotary in Naperville participated with that too. They have 2 Rotary clubs in Nitra now since Freedoms. We have 2 in Naperville, 3 actually. The Canine Cops, the first police chief, Igor Zemlin, was a police dog trainer, and so he did some work with our police department about that. We've had high school students from Nikwa, which Lori will tell you more about, and high school in Nitra and exchanges, and the Lutheran Church Choir has been there several times, and they've been here, and our dear friend from the Naperville band, help me out.
Ron Keller.
Oh, yes, Ron Keller was there on an exchange, and then he was with us in 1998, and he participated with a lot really with Slovakia. And the Naperville Municipal Band also participated with them. It's been an amazing journey. Just wish the journey is continuing. Okay, so I'm going to skip through this a little bit, Dennis. So in 2012, I was installed as the Honorary Consul of the Slovak Republic in Illinois. The event was held at Benedictine University, where I serve as a trustee, so they were very accommodating with providing us with free space to do this. And Here we are outside waiting with Lyle Mayor Joe Broda and Naperville Mayor Prado, and the then president of the college, Bill Carroll, waiting for the delegation to arrive from Slovakia. And it was, the president was somebody whom I knew. Ivan Kasparovich was then president of Slovakia, and I'd met him several times in Washington and in Slovakia, and he insisted that my installation be while he was in Chicago at a NATO conference. So his entire plane load of people showed up in Lyle, and we had to go through all that special security for every person who participated. So there are some pictures from here, from that event, and I was famous for half a day on Slovak television, maybe 5 minutes, I don't know. And we had business meetings, the military came, Bennett Academy, Madrigal singers sang both national anthems, and we had Slovak folk music and food. It was wonderful. Those are my credentials from both the United States State Department and from the Slovak Ministry of Foreign Affairs, because it requires that to be an honorary consul. And these slides were made a couple of years ago, so you see the expiration date was 23 on that one. So, duties of an honorary consul, I don't know if anybody's interested or not. I have to promote, now Dennis put some captions on here, promoting bilateral development, organizing and receiving visitors. That's President Kiska was here in 2018, and he was at Benedictine University. Promoting activities, so I'm a part of the Visegrad Four, as I told you, and so for the 30th anniversary of NATO, we had a meeting at the Polish Consulate in Chicago, and all 4 of us were there to make some speeches. And assisting Slovak citizens, one of the biggest things that I do in terms of time is I notarize documents for people for use in Slovakia. So if they need a power of attorney, if they need a land transaction, if they need to sign for paternity, to register a birth or register a marriage, they come to me and I notarize their documents with the stamps that I have to do that. Otherwise, they have to travel to New York City for that service. So it's a big deal for the people from around here. And I've had people come from Indiana. This one came from Bloomington. I've had them come from Indiana, Wisconsin, and other states because I'm closest to them. God bless you. And then this is so other duties as assigned. That's the biggest one really, because sometimes I get a phone call. I need emergency travel documents for someone, so you need to do this. And we had that actually with Nitra. One of the students lost his passport. You remember that?
Yes,
Right? And when no one could find it, the mayor went to the bus that picked the kids up, and it was still in that bus a week later. So anyway, we were getting prepared. We were preparing to make emergency travel documents. So and then just some extracurricular fun. These are the madrigal singers from Bennett. They're just wonderful. And this is the Vesenica Slovak Cultural Ensemble playing at Benedictine University. And this is the National Czechoslovak Museum and Library in Cedar Rapids. It doesn't matter what your heritage is. Their main exhibits are really the history of cultural immigration from Europe completely. So it doesn't matter if you're Italian or Romanian or whatever you are. Everybody will identify their grandparents with that event. And then I was, in 2000, we took our entire family to Slovakia because I was offered an honorary citizenship in Nitra. Now that's not lightly given there. They have a book that dates back to the 1700s in which people sign their names. And I got to sign that book. So Mayor Thomas Klimek Ward and I, he was the former honorary consul, were 2 Slovak Americans not born on Slovak soil to be given that honor. And then later George Prado also received this honor. And this is the first president of Slovakia, Michal Kovac, came here for an award from the American Bar Association for his work toward the rule of law. And we took him to Chicago, of course. And those are my official stamps. Everybody, are you sure you have the right red stamps? Yes, I do. So, anyway, you see it says Naperville, because I'm situated in Naperville. So Naperville is on lots of documents in Slovakia. I thought you might enjoy that. I do have up here some artifacts, if you're interested. And if you have questions, you can do them now, or you can wait till Lori's done. Maybe that's the better thing. And then if there's anything else we need to discuss, I'd be happy to do that. It's been a pleasure.